Hi, today we're talking about parenting and one of the most common pitfalls of parenting. And it's actually something that is actually understood by very few. It causes this common pitfall causes almost all, if not all, pain, frustration. It's at the root cause of it. Pain, frustration, guilt, fear, worry. It is a very painful experience when we have it. And I don't know, I know for me, having kids was not for the faint of heart. Now, some parents, they rocked it, right? It just looked like smooth sailing. And just a heads up, my name is Tracy Gritz, and I have two kids. I have a 27-year-old and a 24-year-old. So you'd think, or I would think, maybe all these challenges wouldn't still be coming up, but of course they are, and that's perfect. And I want to share with you, of course, the universe is always conspiring for our greatest good and our greatest growth. And this week, 3 friends called me about challenges with their kids, plus I had my own, which is actually unusual throughout the week because most of our kids are old. We don't really talk about kids as much anymore because they're not under our roof. So it was quite interesting and fascinating this week for me, and also a very important learning experience for me. I'm going to share with you all 3 examples plus my own example. And these examples are going to range from kids that are 2 to 26, 27. And the first one I'm going to share with you is from a friend A. We'll keep her anonymous. We're going to keep everybody anonymous except me. I'm totally fine calling out my own crap. So friend A has a 2 and a 3-year-old. And she called me and she said, Tracy, things are great with my career, my husband and I are doing really well. And my kids, the 2 and the 3-year-old, are driving me flippin' crazy. Now she used another F word, not flippin'. And I said, so what's going on? So she was explaining to me that her 3-year-old, she could be 4 by now, I don't know, 3 or 4, right? Who cares? So I'm going to tell you the situation, and then I'm going to tell you each situation so we can kind of pull it all together. The first one, her 3-year-old would just basically tackle her. They might be playing, and she just runs toward her and tackles her. And she really does not like being tackled by her kidlet. So she says, stop, please, honey, don't tackle mommy. I don't like it. Boom, tackle, boom, tackle, boom, tackle. So this is going on. This is really frustrating for her. So when I asked her, so she says she just doesn't care. This is a significant, important point. She just doesn't care. And of course, I've had that many times with my kids. If they cared, they would clean up. If they cared, they would do this. If they cared, they would do this. What we're really saying is they don't care enough about us to not tackle us, not do that thing, not whatever it is. So the fear, the thought, the thing that we assign, the meaning that we assign to the behavior. So the behavior is a 3-year-old tackling her mom. That's the behavior, pure and simple. That's the act. What we assign to it is what causes us the pain. This is a really important distinction. The running and tackling of the mom is the act. What we assign to that behavior, the meaning we assign to the behavior, is what causes us pain and causes us also has us react in particular ways. So hers is, she just doesn't care. So now I'm going to move on to the second example. The second example is with a friend of mine who has this one is probably, I want to say he's 25, 24, 25, somewhere along there. And he's home for a while before he goes off to his to move to his job, and they had some boxes they'd been packing up so he could move, and she had some boxes, and she asked her son to please put the boxes up, upstairs, take the boxes upstairs, heavy boxes, take them upstairs. Well, he didn't do it the first day, and then I think she was leaving so we could all get together, and she had the same request. Hey, honey, please take the boxes upstairs. She got home after being with us, and still the boxes are hanging out in the living room. So she's pissed. She's like, he's 24, 25, and just didn't even take up the boxes. And she was so pissed, and she just went out. She picked up those boxes. She took them upstairs, and she did it. Boom. She said, you know what? He just doesn't care. So again, it's what's the meaning? The behavior is person left boxes in the living room. That's the action. That's the behavior. The meaning that was given to it was they don't care. That's a second example. I'm going to give you my third example. My third example is my son. You're kind of getting the idea, right? My son he's traveling, so he's in Israel, and he'd called us really quick, I'm here, I'm safe, blah, 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 blah. And then like 3 days go by and crickets. I've texted him, I've called him, and I realized, oh, I'm feeling ignored. Now, is he ignoring me? It could be, right? Who knows? The behavior is he's not calling. That's the actual reality. He hasn't called. So the behavior is he hasn't called. What I'm assigning to that action, to that behavior, is that he's ignoring me. And again, he could be, he couldn't be, I don't know. But how I'm taking it, I realize is, oh, I'm feeling ignored. So now I'm going to go through one with the tackling. So when I was talking to her about caring, first of all, she said she just doesn't care. Okay, so so right now, her running and tackling you feels like she doesn't care. Yes. Here's the important thing. That message, whatever we assign to that behavior, you ready for this? Wait for it. That is actually your message for you. That is my message for me. Now, what do I mean by this? She's saying her daughter doesn't care. But what's really going on is she's not handling it in a way that cares for her own self. She's letting it go on. She doesn't know what to do. She's frustrated with it. She tells her, stop it. And then she ends up yelling. And then the kidlet stops. And that's not how she wants to do parenting. So then she feels bad. Now she feels guilty. So because she doesn't care, she responds in a particular way. She's pissed. She's angry. She's saying, knock that crap off. Now her daughter's crying, and now it's a mess. But really, what's not going on is that the mom is not caring for herself. By honoring, this is not okay for me. This behavior is not okay. So after we talked a little bit more, and we talked about how she's actually not caring for herself, that is a clear communication. It's a clear reflection. What we want to assign to somebody else is actually a reflection for us. What do we assign to that behavior? And now turn that mirror around, and what we assign is now for us. So now I said, okay, so how are you not caring for yourself? And she's like, well, I just don't know what to do. She keeps doing it. So then we went through, and I said, so what you could do is you can say, you may never do this. I don't like it. Are you wanting attention? And then she said, oh, she plays with a friend like that. So that's probably what she's thinking. Great. You can play with your friend like that. You can never play with mommy like that. And if you do, I'm going to, and I said, whatever the consequence might be, time out. You leave the room for 5 minutes or 15 minutes. You have a timer, so you can set the timer. Mommy will be back in 15 minutes. I don't like to be tackled. I love you always. I don't love to be tackled. So I'm going to go. And then you walk out of the room or you give the kid the 5 minutes, never in shame, never in anger. The problem is we end up saying no, 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 having our own opinion. And now by the time we finally communicate, we're pissed. So what's coming out? No love. What's coming out? Anger is spewing out of our eyeballs. So next time she gets a tackle, hey, you may never do this. Mommy loves you so much. You do it again because this would be the first time. I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave for 10 minutes and you have the timer. So now she has how to do it. But the message is clear. It's important for her to care about herself. Here's a situation and she's not honoring herself. So now she's honoring herself. Now she's empowered. Now she, one, can say to herself, okay, I am worthy. If my child does not like me, it's okay because I am worthy. So, and I'm worthy to stand in my own truth as somebody who does not like to be tackled by her 3-year-old. So that's the first example. The second one is, remember the 24-year-old or 25-year-old who didn't take the boxes up to the attic. So the mom doesn't say anything, grabs the boxes, takes it up to the attic, and now she's pissed, stomping around the house a little bit of attitude, a little bit of I'm not going to talk to you. Who's experiencing that anger? Sure, he is. His mom's got attitude. She is also. So now physically in her own body, she's experiencing that anger. So when I talk to her, again, he doesn't care. That was her. That's what she assigned to the behavior. He does not care. The truth, right? What happened in that situation? She wasn't caring about herself. She wasn't honoring herself. She didn't care about herself. She took that box right up to the attic. Thank you. Love you right back. She didn't take that box up to she took that box up to the attic. She didn't care and honor herself. So I said, okay, let's just kind of backtrack a little bit. And where were you not caring for yourself? So she could see, so then now she's blaming him. Whenever blame is involved, here's a massive secret. Whenever blame is involved, there is also victimhood. Blame, victim. It's always hand in hand. So she's blaming him for not doing what he said he was going to do, what she'd asked, and now she is the victim. She is still not caring for herself. So when you lay it all out like that, it's like, instead of just seeing, again, I think I spoke last week about this, about we torture ourselves. We put our head under the water and we're like, our kids don't care. I can't believe he didn't do that. How he just doesn't care. What kind of adult is he going to grow up to be? And now, right, we're waterboarding. We're water drowning ourselves. And then when we can come up, okay, so the situation is he didn't take the boxes upstairs that I'd asked. That's the fact. That's it. All the meaning is when we're under the water. So, okay, so now she's thinking he doesn't care. So we talk about it. Okay, and she definitely knows part of her story in her life has been victim/blame. So now she says, okay, so what could she have done differently? She could have said to him, hey, honey, I noticed that the boxes, and so when she did call him out on it, she called him out on it, right? Not loving. Why are the boxes still there? Because we're pissed. Right now we've ratcheted it up because we have our whole story going about what they flippin' did to us and they don't care. So now, why didn't you take those up? Well, I thought I misunderstood, whatever kids say, right? So how she didn't, so now it's a merry-go-round with life. That merry-go-round is going to come back around and around. But what she learned is she needs to care about herself and she is not the victim. So to stand in her own truth would have been, hey, I see those boxes are still there. Not too sure why they're there, but I'd like them upstairs. So how about you do that before the evening is out or before 10 o'clock tomorrow morning? He's 24. It's not hard. He most likely would have said, he absolutely would have said, no problem, Mom. And then if he didn't, she could say, Okay, so this is part 2 of the most common mistakes of one of the most common pitfalls of parenting. This is part 2 of that. And so in the second situation, what could have happened and what can happen next time for my friend with a box is exactly that. You can take the box up. That's what I'd like, and I'd like it done by X, Y, and Z time. Now she's stood in her own truth. She's honored herself. She's not making it mean that he doesn't care, because here's the thing, right? Do they actually not care about you? You know, if you were very sick, would they be like, yeehaw? No, no, they actually really do care. It is us who are not caring about our own selves, honoring our own selves. The truth is that's just a situation. So let's go to the one where my son, who had not called me, had not called us, and my feeling was I'm feeling ignored. So I'm like, whoo, check that out. I'm feeling ignored. So the good news is I have some awareness around this. I understand it. Okay. So the behavior is he hasn't called while he's traveling in 3 days. It'd only been 3 days. What I assigned to that behavior is, hi, Melissa. Hi, you guys. Hey, hey, hey. Mwah. What I assigned to that is he hasn't called. He's ignoring me. What's the message? So far, what have we learned? Like in part 1, before the technology issue, what did we learn in part 1? That message is actually my message. I was feeling ignored. So what do I do when I was ignoring my own self. I was not even listening to me being upset about that. It took me like 3 days to figure out that I was not happy that he had not called. I was just trying to shove it under the rug. Right? You know, this is the problem with spiritual life, kind of, it's still, we want to be all happy and positive, but that's just not the truth. We always have to stand in our truth every single time. We have to stand in our truth. And my truth was that I was not happy that he had not called. So now I have some, okay, so I've been ignoring myself about that. I've just been trying to shove that little puppy right under the rug, like, oh, it's all fine. Like, no, it wasn't fine. I was ignoring myself. So then I say, hey, so then I actually turned to myself again. I know you guys have seen me do this, and said, hey, I'm here for you, Tracy. I turned to my own self. Yes, you are upset that he's not calling. You're worried. You're a mom. Of course, I understand that. I'm not going to ignore those feelings. So this is Tracy talking to Tracy. And now I feel so much better, like, yes, somebody listened to me. The person that needing to listen to, the person that was being ignored, was myself to myself. This is the power behind what I'm explaining to you. And then, now could he have been ignoring me? But guess what? Like the next day, he calls, oh my gosh, we were camping in like some desert and my charger, whatever, he forgot his charger, whatever. And so he had no way to contact us, no cell service out there. So I made it about him ignoring me, but that actually wasn't even the case, right? Now, this is important. Why, how many times have you thought a particular thing about somebody? You assigned a particular meaning to a particular behavior, like maybe somebody's late and you don't like people who are late. So you might say, they're late because they just don't care. Again, right? This is the behavior. The behavior is they're late. This is the act. This is the fact. The fact is they're late. What we assign to it is what's important. They don't care. Then that's your message for you. Or they're rude. Then that's your message for you. These are all our own messages. It's just simply a reflection for you to grow into and bloom into your potential. To see, this is what this is the universe saying, hey, I totally have your back. I am here to help you live into and grow into your potential. And right now you're feeling like you're not feeling cared for. So here's a situation where you're going to think somebody doesn't care for you so that you can turn it around and care for yourself. so that you can stand in your truth. In order for me not to feel like a victim here, what do I need to do? How do I honor myself in this situation? This is the ever always loving universe reaching out to us and allowing us to step into our worth. Yes, Melissa, sometimes that reflection is a hard pill to swallow. And here's another talk that was going to happen eventually, but it's like, oh my gosh, when a great thing happens, we go, oh, the universe loves me. Isn't it so great? It's so wonderful. Oh, yay. But yet when we have these other ones, we go, what the hell? That is so not fun. Still a gift. Always a gift. I agree. Some of them are not so, some of them are very sour pills. So we talked about the tackling and I don't care, and then turning it around and saying, okay, this is how we're going to roll with it. Then we talked about the box and blaming and victim and I don't care. And now next time, hey, when you don't do that, you need to do this. And then we talked about my message, which my belief, what I assigned to that, which was I'm being ignored. So next I want to talk about the last one. A friend of mine was really frustrated with her oldest son for, she was frustrated and worried that he's just not saving money for the future because she's working on her wills and she's saying how important it is to make sure that you have funds saved because we age. And so she was feeling like he's just being irresponsible. And what she was really feeling was guilty. She was feeling guilty. Now, as a parent, I'm sure no parent has ever experienced guilt, right? So Melissa says, so when my toddlers don't listen to me, I can sense my frustration of them not listening, but it's a very righteous feeling. Ooh, so beautiful, Melissa. Like, how dare they not listen to me? What's the reflection there? So beautiful. Yes, that you're not listening to yourself. Exactly. So the reflection could be, I'm feeling really frustrated here. I'm feeling out of control. I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to have my kids do what I ask here. These are all, and so that might require, we feel like we have to come up with all the answers in the moment, right? So that might require, okay, that's the way I'm feeling right now. And I need to come back to this because I'm feeling a little bit out of control here. Like, I don't know what to do. And I need to kind of search around and figure that out. So that would be you listening to you, right? Now you're listening to you. So exactly, when they're not listening, it's us not listening to ourselves. It's always a perfectly, the mirror of divine, I think. But again, it's not always going to be easy. And sometimes we have to search around. Sometimes we want answers then, and we want to know how to fix it then, and it's not the time yet. Sometimes we have to sit in stuff for a while for the answers to be able to come to us, or we call our friends and we get other, Stacy says, go find your happy place. Sometimes we need to, I will go sit because I know I am in a space. I'm in I call it a funk. I'm either in a funk, I'm pissed, I'm frustrated, and I need to process it, or I don't need to process it. And I just need to do something else so that I can let my subconscious, right? So I can let the universe work back in there because I know I'm out of love. Every time you are frustration, that righteous feeling, you are out of love. You're most likely in fear. So the fear of things are out of control and I'm going to be a bad mom and I might yell at them. These are all fear. It's either two places, right? Always. You're either in love or you're either in fear. And when you are in fear, sometimes you just need to take a break and say, okay, I know I love these little people or these kids. I'm not too sure. Or my husband. I know I love him and I'm not too sure. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm not too sure what to do here. So I'm going to put a pause on it. So I hope that helps. So I want to talk a little bit about guilt because that was what she was assigning to it. So her son who's not saving the money, and what came down to us after asking her many questions is she feels really guilty. And I think this is significant because as parents, we do something, and then 5 minutes later, 5 months later, 50 years later, we can feel guilty about it. So we re-experience the guilt of the situation in that moment. And what's important and what to do in that situation is understand, to know, go back to that time. Nobody taught her about finances growing up. This was not something that she had an experience of it or a love of. Sometimes we still will have a passion for something, but she had no experience of somebody explaining how long-term funds and investments, and she actually didn't even really learn that until she was, an adult, and didn't even know how to explain that to her kids. You're busy parenting, and now she feels like crap because she did, and she feels guilty. So the guilt is, guilt can be debilitating. And here's the truth. If you go back in time to anything that you feel like crap about, what you did then in that moment, you were doing at the greatest level of consciousness that you had at the time. At the time when I was a screaming lunatic at my kids, I was doing the best I could. I mean, I didn't electrically shock them. I think that's a benefit. Because sometimes I would fantasize. You can judge me all you want when I'm going to say the next thing. Sometimes I would fantasize about throwing them up against a massive trash can. I didn't do that. I did sometimes yell, and I did sometimes do things that I don't feel good about. But I'll tell you this right now. I was doing the best I could at the level of consciousness that I had at that time. So when I explained this to her, and now she had no parents explaining how to show her kids how to manage financials. She didn't even have that information to give, and here she's feeling very guilty about it. So what she can do now is go, oh, hey, I had no idea what that information was. So there's also, the second key here is there's also blame. My parents never showed me, which is always victim. Blame, victim, blame, victim. Puts her right back into victim mode. So, okay. But see, if she can give herself the grace of knowing that in that moment, she was doing all those moments growing up, she didn't have that background, that knowledge. So she was at the highest level of awareness and consciousness that she had throughout her parenting years. And so she didn't have that awareness. So now she can give herself the grace. But when we are able to get, and here's the beauty of when we can give ourselves the grace of the guilt, of knowing we were doing the best we could at the highest level of consciousness at that time, we can then give our parents and every other human being on the face of this planet the same grace. If I screamed and yelled at my kids, which I'm saying right now happened, if I know that I know in my heart that I was doing the best I could at that time, I had just had it. I was overwrought. I was fearful. I was terrified. I was worried. I was scared. I was pissed. I was all the things. And boy, I was yelling. Not pretty, I know. But that's the truth. I was doing the best I could. So I can then give that same, there's nothing to forgive because of course I was doing what I could. But then I can do the same thing for every other human being when I see what they're doing. Because everybody is always doing it to the greatest level of their own consciousness. So she felt guilty. So there was guilt there. So in each instance that I've given you today, you can see that they're all a reflection for us. Each and every situation is a reflection for us. And this is what is not understood about parenting. And thank you. And this is where the most freedom comes into play. When we understand, oh, how is this here for me? The universe is constantly conspiring for our greatest good. How is this here for me? The first step is, what meaning am I assigning to this? They're irresponsible. They don't care. They this, they that. What is the meaning that we're assigning to that? And now look at us. If the meaning is they're irresponsible, are you not being responsible to yourself? Where are you not honoring yourself? Where are you not being responsible to your truth? These are all for us. So the first thing is, what's the meaning you're assigning to the behavior? That's your first clue. Now, sometimes you can't do it in that moment. You need to take a break to back it out and get some perspective on it. And then you can proceed in honoring your own truth. Okay, this is, and you can always honor it within, just like I did with me. Hey, Tracy, I'm here for you. I know I've been ignoring you lately. I know I was ignoring you through all those worries that you had about Cole. And I'm right here for you, baby. And this is me saying it to me. And this is who we need to hear. We have been neglecting ourselves. Every human being neglects themselves. Not every, but most. It is emotional neglect. And we are the culprits of us to us. So I hope that helps. Again, first step, what's the meaning what's the meaning I'm having this make? And then turn that around and look. And sometimes you may need to give yourself a break. Give yourself some time to step away from it. Give yourself some thought. Give yourself some love. I don't know what to do. I'm feeling afraid. I don't know what to do. And I love the one who's feeling afraid. And I love the one who's feeling guilty. And I love the one who's feeling helpless. Sometimes in order to get an answer, we actually need to give ourselves a little bit of love and attention. And once we do, once our inner guidance, our inner heart, the inner you feels safe and protected, the answers can then come forward. But when we're hunkered down in fear, the only thing that fear knows is to create more fear. But when you come into love, somehow it will be magic, but those answers will be there for you. So always, from my heart to yours, every single second of every single minute of every single day, you matter. You are special, and the world needs you. Appreciate you with all my heart. So until next time, love y'all. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.